catastrophic failures, which
you did great.
was perfect.
pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna angle for the fact that you need to actually be on the payroll again because
Yes.
you care so much. I mean, it's 3
I
days in a
reckon.
row this week. So
Yes.
Point, actually.
let's do that.
That sounds great. I mean, Golden Sands would be very happy with that as long as I can get back on that BBC payroll. That'd be
That's right.
fantastic. If you want to gift me with a few bit of tech gear to take back to Golden Sands too,
Just fill your car on the way up, maybe.
that would be
They won't miss
awesome.
any
If you're
good.
watching online, you can lobby for that as well. Post on the comments, give Colin Tech. Hashtag give Colin Tech. That would be great. I'd appreciate that. So great to have you with us. We also have some guests with us today, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Bryce and Kate,
Yeah.
welcome
Good
to
to be
Mornings Together.
Thank you.
Really good to
Right
be here.
on.
Have you guys been on the show yet? Is this first
No.
time?
No, first time.
No.
Oh, nice.
Super exciting.
Newbies.
Newbies, long-time watchers, first-time
Yeah.
participants.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it looks like we got a few people watching with us this morning. We got
Water.
Darren right out of the gate.
Yeah,
Stiff
Darren.
water.
With a solid
Kia
kia ora. Get back to work. Then we also have Michaela.
Yeah,
Hi,
Michaela.
Michaela.
Where are you watching from this morning, Michaela? Come
Yeah,
on.
that's our question to Michaela.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
at
where
a
are you
cafe
today?
or it's on the way to drop the kids or something like that.
Yeah.
Or she's in the office already.
Yeah.
Or she's in the office already. So Michaela, give us a shout out to where you are. We've already had a question from Michaela, though. This is for you two. She's just wondering when you're going to feed her.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yes, yes.
When am I
yes.
coming for dinner?
Yeah, yeah. Just you though, Michaela, not anybody else in your family.
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah. Eric and the kids can say hi.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
right.
like she'd be real okay with that.
Yeah.
Leave behind the whole family and
Sure.
she gets to go have a dinner. I
Yeah,
feel like she'd be
absolutely.
right on with that. We got a few other people watching, which is lovely. We got Deborah.
Hello, Deborah.
And then obviously Naomi Cowan again
Yeah,
from Dunedin.
Naomi.
Donna's, man, it'd be
Yeah.
cold.
Is it
freezing.
cold?
Yeah.
It must be freezing down there.
Yeah.
Often Dunedin's airport has the coldest temperature in the country.
Wow.
So I remember sitting in a plane there and it was like -7 and they had the door open. It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
They're de-icing the plane with the door open.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, Dunedin. Love it.
Dunedin. Yeah.
Dunedin. What a place.
Wow.
And then we've gotten a response back already.
Atrium. There we go.
The atrium. Is
Oh,
that
wow.
is
Very
that
good.
here or is that like a cafe?
That's a
That's
cafe.
over at C3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
over at C3.
They have a lovely
And
cafe.
I keep saying you need to get Cameron Shakes and just like beam this onto their TVs in there.
There you
in their
go.
That's
cafe.
right.
Come on, Cameron.
That's right.
There's
Let
your
them know what's
challenge.
happening.
Come on. Yeah.
That'd be great. C3 has BBC's programs
That's
broadcasting on all of its screens.
They're getting free advertising right now. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
Logan, who's our producer,
Shameless.
you know tech. You can do that, right? You can hack into that.
Go
Hack into
on.
their
Come
monitors.
on, Logan.
That's when I see it on TVs. It's usually like a 20-second hack to get
Sure.
into the defense department. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds good. Oh, well, look, it's great to have all of you with us. And Deborah's watching from
Tomara Nui.
Wow.
Right on,
That-
man.
now
That's
that is
so
the other
good.
cold
We're
place
just
in-
doing the nation here.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome. Yeah.
bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look, it's great to have everybody with us as you're watching and great to have you guys here as well. How are we
Awesome.
doing? Thursday, a week
The
week post kind
feels
of level one.
Thursday.
Crazy,
Yeah.
that's right. Where did that week go?
Yeah, I
No
know.
idea.
I'm
Yeah.
still enjoying seeing people,
Yes.
actually, that I can get this close to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
had enough of me already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, other people.
There's still an excitement. I mean, with youth on Wednesday, even with the
Yeah.
ladies' series copy, I'm like, you're back and like in droves. Like we're just so packed at the moment. So it's lovely.
Yeah, how was it? Yeah, I mean, youth was first night
Youth
last night,
was-
Rob.
Yeah.
How was it?
They,
Woohoo.
you know, your kids are amped most of the time, but when they turn up to youth for the first time after 3 months, they were very, very hyped. last
Yeah,
night.
I
There was
bet.
200 odd of them just going,
That is so cool.
you know, just
Yeah, that's
Wow.
absolutely
awesome.
going crazy. So
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was very cool to see them all back.
So cool.
And is the building sound? No holes in any walls?
I don't know. I'll find out today.
Yeah, I know.
You
We'll
try not
find
to
out.
look on Wednesday night. Be like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
A little bit of evidence that there has been youth in the house. Yeah. Even walking up the stairs, I'm like, okay, yeah.
They've been here.
Yeah, they've been
Oh.
here.
Fair enough. I feel the same way. I mean, this week has gone by so fast because it's filled with meetings.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not achieved half of the things I wanted to achieve, but it's okay because I feel like I saw people. So the extrovert
Yeah.
in me is like starting to actually feel life again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a short sermon then, Colin, this Sunday.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
the
will.
deviations.
Or a rambling one.
Yeah.
It's the deviations to pick up coffee, right? When you go, I'm like, I can.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm just going to go pick up coffee.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
can.
And you're
Because I
telling yourself,
can.
well, I haven't spent anything on
That's
it in the
right.
last month, so I've
That's
got some
right.
money,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
bank that I.
Yeah.
That's definitely how it works, right?
What did the news call it? They actually said it's a thing. They called it revenge spending.
Revenge
revenge spending.
They did. They
Damn you,
people are
pandemic.
revenge
Yeah,
spending.
yeah.
You deprived me of going. Now I'm gonna make up for
Yeah.
lost time.
Barista
So, yeah.
Oh man. Well, hey, look, I've heard a key part of the new format with the Feels Thursday
Yes.
is this doesn't happen every day now.
Yeah.
But this is an important part of Mornings Together. We have a moment to meet with Flavor Rob.
Yeah,
Oh, here
Flavor
we go.
Rob
Here
is
we go.
back.
Flavor
Yeah.
Rob.
Woohoo.
I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, but there was some great Mexican flavor tips from the other side
Salt
of
and
the table.
pepper, man.
That's
Salt and
right.
pepper.
And chicken. There
And
we
chicken.
go.
Just cook it.
Yeah.
Raw is not good.
Yeah.
I love it.
They were
It's
great tips, I
It's a
think.
great
They
tip.
were.
Yeah.
It was even a trinity. It was
There-
awesome.
There was a trinity. So winter flavors. I've got 2 recipes. Next week I'm prepping you. We're going to do a tagine next week. So I'm going to pull out all the flavors so you can have a bit of an idea of that. But one of the things that we do is we know how to cook meat well often, but we don't have very good side dishes. Like people just boil the old potato and chuck it on the plate.
Oh,
And everyone goes,
travesty.
yay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
would do
delicious.
that?
It's a Kiwi
Um,
way.
It's the Kiwi way, salt and pepper. Just doesn't make the potatoes as good. So I thought we'd do crispy, cheesy potato bake today, which is
Ooh.
very easy. I have in my house what we call a mandolin. No, not the guitar, but something that you cut vegetables with, and it cuts potatoes very thinly. And so you cut potatoes very thinly for this particular recipe, and you have cream. So, two
Yeah.
things that
It's
just
a
go
win.
together.
It's a win.
And cheese, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
good for the level of cholesterol. You've got
That's
to have
right.
a healthy level of cholesterol.
you've got
Awesome.
protein, good cholesterol.
That's right.
Anyway, so a potato bake is very, very simple, and most people at home are going, "Oh, that's a bit boring." But actually, you can make it really flavorsome. Potatoes don't need to be boring. They're a good staple. They're cheap. And if you don't have a mandolin at home, the best thing about cutting potatoes, because they're a heavy root vegetable, cut one side off, put that flat side down, and then cut it that way. Okay, so don't try and cut thin slices off a rounded edge. It just doesn't work. You're gonna lose.
Safety tip.
Use
there
the
you
end
go.
of your finger.
Yeah.
All right, so flip that over, cut it thin. It doesn't need to be like wafer thin, but the thinner the better. And you want to place it like a lasagna in the dish, all right?
I'm
And
with ya.
each layer, you're just putting a little bit of flavor in, okay?
Yeah.
So a layer of potato, cheese and onion. A layer of potato, crispy bacon.
Yeah.
A layer of potato, some flavors. So you always want to
Yeah.
put some thyme. You want to put some red onion is always better than brown onion. It's
Yeah.
sweeter. And then you want to, if you're cholesterol worried, like Bryce over here, you might want to just use chicken stock, but I'm going to use cream.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper in each layer, and then cover it with cheese at the end. You can put cheese in each level as well. And then you put it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 200 on oven-proof dish.
Yeah.
And it comes out, and it's this golden, cheesy, crunchy goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you can put all sorts of things in those layers. I want to encourage you to do it. There's so many options. Thyme, oregano, as these guys would say,
Yeah.
sage.
The
salt and
right
pepper.
way to say it.
I always mix a good bit of melted butter in there as well.
Yeah.
You can't beat a little bit of butter with your cream on top of your cheese.
The cholesterol level just keeps going
I
up.
know.
Just keeps
Yeah.
This is hard first thing in the morning.
I know.
No,
It
my
sounds so good.
stomach's
So is that what
rumbling.
you would call, like Americans would call that, scallop potatoes?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
scalloped
So is
potatoes
that
as
kind
well.
of the same?
Very
sort of
similar,
thing?
yeah. And then on top, I just do something like very thin breadcrumbs, because that just gives you that really
Yeah,
crunchy top,
yeah,
because you
I
want
love
that
it.
crunchiness at the end.
Mm,
So there
absolutely.
you go. Something to zhuzh up your potatoes this week.
Yeah.
Grab a dish,
Cheesy
make it really
potato
easy.
bake.
Anything you want to put in there.
So what I heard is take potatoes, douse it in cream, butter, and cheese.
That's correct.
All right,
and
I'm
you're
in.
good to
Yeah.
go.
I'm
You
in.
got to put some flavor in, though. You
Yeah.
got to put some flavor in. Otherwise, it's just mashed potatoes.
That's right. That's
All
why
right.
he's Flavor Rob. Yeah.
Flavor Rob. All right. Well, that is a solid recommendation. I am
Yeah.
dangerously hungry,
I
and
know.
if any of our viewers do that, you need to get a photo of it
Get a
and
photo.
send it
Yeah.
in.
Yes, I want to
Yeah.
see it.
Yes,
There may be a mug, a special mug coming your way. If
Yeah,
you
that's
send me a
right.
picture,
that's true.
that one of those mornings together,
There we go. Come
remember us
on.
forever.
I'm in Bernie's job, so I can make unilateral decisions, right? So that is now the official decision. If you send in a photo of your
Yeah.
cheesy baked potatoes, we will send you a mug.
Yep.
Bernie Cowan will make sure that it happens.
That's right.
It's from his budget.
It's
too,
from
right?
his budget.
Yeah,
Or his pocket.
Exactly.
One of the
Hundreds.
two.
If there's any Golden Sands people watching, just do it now so we can take the swag.
Yeah.
We need
So-
new cups of church.
That's right. Yeah.
50 pictures.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll just put the little triangle logo on top of your BBC one and be fine.
Very good.
But
Oh,
so good flavor.
That's good.
There you
That
go.
sounds good with anything.
That
It
does
does.
sound
You
fantastic.
could have that with anything. Yeah.
Now,
So,
just again to get us in, it's the Feels Thursday where we get to
Yeah.
talk about a few different things. There's one question that I wanted to ask you guys just to
Mhm.
get to know you and get us into the rhythm and decide kind of what you're like. And the question is, if you could spend a day with any biblical character, but that's not Jesus or God because that's cheating. So you're not allowed to pick
Boring Christian.
anyone from the Trinity. If you could spend a day with any biblical character to have a chat with them, who would you pick and why?
Ooh, so good.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
could be
great
Old Testament or
question.
New Testament. I mean, that's a big conversation.
I mean, my wife's name's Deborah, and I've always been fascinated by Deborah the
By
judge
Deborah.
and how such a boss girl
Yeah.
in the Bible
Mm.
could, in a patriarchal society,
Yeah.
Mm.
lead
Mhm.
and make decisions like she did,
Yeah.
and crack the whip. And so I'd love to sit down and just
Mm.
soak in that presence and just
Yeah.
be like, she'd probably put me to death or something.
As a heritage.
A bit like my wife.
Yeah.
So that is the person I'd want to sit with. Just
Yeah.
how did you be you
Yeah.
in that sort of society? Because
Yeah.
everything we read in Scripture is just hardcore, especially
Yeah.
Old Testament, like the Judges. Woo, some stuff in
Yeah,
there.
some stuff
Mm.
in
You know.
there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about meeting with some of the Old Testament folks.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit of a pansy. I just like I know I'll die.
That's exactly right.
I get my feelings hurt when someone says they don't like my shirt, and then here's Deborah who's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
She-
exactly.
the picture I have is one from
Yeah.
and Brienne of Tar, her just this
Yeah.
knight with
Yeah.
a sword, I'm just like, ooh, she's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
awesome.
who I see Deborah to be. So I'd
Yeah.
love to just sit and have a yarn with her.
That's
Yeah.
so
Fair enough.
awesome. It'd be amazing to
That
see
would
what
be
they actually
amazing.
look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, can I have an Old Testament and a New Testament? So, like,
Two.
Oh, we
Yeah.
didn't say two.
I
Cheating.
know, but
You got to commit to one.
well, Old Testament, I would love to just say, Eve, what were you
Eve.
thinking, man? Can we chat? Can we just chat? I want to slap
True.
you.
Take you down.
I want to slap you, but let's just talk about it. What,
You messed up
what
so
were
bad.
you
Love
thinking?
You're
Come on.
going to pick one person just so you can have a rant at them. You're like,
It's like,
why?
tell me what was that going? What were you thinking? And what happened there?
Right,
'Cause
okay,
you kind of had a
okay.
sweet deal going on.
All right.
But New Testament, it'd be I reckon Peter or Mary. Like Peter. Yeah, I think he'd be such an interesting dude, hilarious,
Yeah.
and rough and gruff, and just what was that like for you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
Totally.
to come back from blowing it royally,
Yeah.
and to be able to come back with
Yeah,
the way
that's
he
true.
did. So it was
Yeah,
great.
fair enough. And
Yeah.
and viewers, as we go through this, please check your comments up here because we'd love to
we
know
want to know
who the person is you would have loved
Mm.
to have chatted with.
Mm.
What about one of you?
Well, I actually think I'd really be keen to meet Nehemiah. And that's just because that's a little bit of me in the sense
Yeah.
of like, if you like, I don't know if you guys are into strength finders, but my top one is like an activator. So I just
Mhm.
like to
Yeah.
get stuff done.
Yeah.
And he just strikes me as the kind of guy who just sees a need, seeks God, and then goes and gets it done.
yeah,
You know, like he just like, how are we going to do this? And then when the obstacle comes up, he's like, okay, let's just tweak it and we'll keep going. You know,
Yeah.
tweak it and get going. And then he does it.
yeah,
And I'd love to sit down and chat to him about just how he overcame the obstacles and, like,
and there were so many for
those
him,
kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be super interesting.
Huge. Yeah.
and to still keep going.
Yeah. And to still keep going and to,
Still build
like
them up,
whooping
yeah.
everybody into shape. No, I don't do that, do I?
No,
not at all.
Send letters to kings and tell them this is how it should be done.
Yeah, that's but I just would be really fascinated to see in that environment they were exiled
Yeah,
and like Israel was scattered. How did he
Yeah.
bring that together?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Bryce?
Mine would be Moses, actually.
Moses.
Yeah.
Moses,
Yeah.
obviously his leadership. I'd love to have a good yarn to him
Yeah.
about his leadership.
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes it was just like leading cats.
Oh,
man.
he'd be like such a sympathetic ear where you just want to complain about your people.
And
Moses
you
would
go,
be like,
"I
I get it.
know."
I get it.
I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel you, bro.
But then he talks about he talked to God face to face, like
Yeah,
So good.
someone talks to his friend, and his face was glowing because he'd been around God
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, man, I want to Like, what was that like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Moses.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And also to ask, like, what did the manna like really taste like?
Yeah.
I
know.
desperately would love to know
Yeah.
what that.
Flavor
Manna
Rob would
burgers,
like to
man.
know.
Yeah,
Flavor Rob
Flavor
would
Rob
like
would
to
like to know.
And he's going to set with
a couple
Moses back.
suggestions
Honestly,
there,
chuck
Rob.
some cheese and cream on that. It would.
Don't
And
think
then-
it was those round wafers. I, don't
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
it's not that.
And,
And
the
the big
quail.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
quail.
Bit of meat and bread.
And the big question:
Happiness.
does Moses? How close to Charlton Heston does he really live?
Yeah.
We all want to know.
Did he
kinda
have a
get
beard?
that right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think for me, it depends. I was thinking about this. I was like, it depends on the kind of day that I was going to have.
Mhm.
Like, if I want a crazy day,
Yeah.
just a weird day, I want to hang out with Elisha.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
first asked
Wow.
him, like,
Yep.
so what was going through your head when you got insulted for being bald and then you like sick the bears to go and maul the kids?
Kill them.
Yeah.
Like, is that real? And then you could just hang out with him and you just do all the weird stuff because he's one of those old school prophets. So if
Yeah.
you've lost something in the harbor, you just show up and be like, hey, Elijah, any chance you could get that thing to float for me? Or like,
Yeah.
Boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So if you want a crazy day, I'd grab an Old Testament prophet.
Yeah.
But then if I wanted to be like helpful, I would love to have a chat with Paul because he wrote so much. And I want to be like, now, Paul, you
About
wrote a few
this.
things that were a little bit vague.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
caused about 2,000 years of argument. A
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
of clarification
Yeah.
That'd be
here
great.
Come on.
would help a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Cultural or for now.
I'll put you on
Said some
record.
things
Come on.
about women that are a little
Like,
complicated.
I
Did you
really
wanna
want to
clarify?
ask you that, Paul. Have a seat, son. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Those would be my pick.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd probably love to hang out with Mary. She'd be like my top
Yeah,
pick.
she was one of my
Good
ones
call.
Just
too. Mary,
to hear
like,
what it would be
what
like
was
to
that
see
like?
Jesus grow and
Yeah.
then that whole
Crazy.
journey.
What was that like?
And then all the disciples go and talk about how they know Jesus so well, and Mary's in the back, like, pff, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, like,
Hello.
And did you know? Like,
Yeah.
you knew something, but as he was growing, what was that like? Yeah.
play the
it's true.
song for her, and then she'd feel real uncomfortable.
I know.
Yeah, I knew. I sang a song about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I want to ask, did she actually spank Jesus? You know?
Yeah.
Is he a
Yeah.
pain?
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he sleep through the night? Like, that's every parent of an early child's like,
Yeah.
did he sleep through the night? Because if he was
Exactly.
perfect, I want to.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
going to clear up the irony. Sleep like a baby. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's such a
That's
dumb-
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh man! Well, we've had some comments online, which is pretty cool. Mandy says Esther spent time learning, had a teachable heart, understood her calling, and set people free.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hard
Yes.
out. Michaela takes it in a very different direction. She wants to hang out with Jael in her time tag. Honestly, I'd be
Yeah,
a little bit
Jael.
uncomfortable hanging
Yeah,
out.
I
I
It's true.
The details
Yeah.
of that story.
don't have a nap around that, really. It's
Yeah.
the lesson today. Darren talks about the Israelite soldier who was killed, got thrown into Elisha's tomb. His body touched the bones, and he came back to life.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's fair.
Have a
Yeah.
life after death conversation with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
Like, what was
exactly.
it like?
What was it
Yeah.
like?
Did you see a light? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ray, man, we got lots of comments on this. Ray spending time with Luke as he'd have more
Yeah.
stories of Jesus to tell. Yeah. Jamie Sampson has contagious strength and courage.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You'd be a little bit like,
Yeah.
I'd feel a little bit insecure around them too.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I'm a little, I got the dad bod building on me, and here's
Yeah.
Samson. That was,
Oh, it was actually Lee.
oh, it's
Okay.
Lee, not Ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Darren agrees, no crying he made. Yeah, right. That's got to be the most
Yeah.
misleading part of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
song.
Yeah.
No, yeah, whatever.
Look, it may have only been Jesus, but it ain't no other baby.
That's right.
Even it
Because of
wasn't
Eve.
Jesus.
Because of Eve.
Because of
Because
Eve.
of Eve.
Who we
Adam.
want to slap. Yeah.
Or Adam.
No, it was Eve.
Such a violent conversation.
I'm glad it's the lady saying that.
Man, well, look, hey, as we continue, feel free to check those comments on who would you have loved to have spent the day with. We would love to hear from that. What a fascinating thing to do.
Indeed.
So there are a few things we'd like to keep you guys aware of as we do the
Yeah.
mornings together, as we gather
Yes.
around the virtual campfire.
Yep.
Virtual campfire.
Yep.
Rob's going to do his camera turn.
Yeah.
Right. So
Uh,
just so you are all aware of some of the ways in which you can get in contact with us, but also in the life of the church, we have stories at Bethlehem. We'd love
Yeah.
to see those pictures of your creamy potato bakes, your scallop
Send 'em in.
potatoes.
That's the one.
And especially next week when we do Tajin, I really want to see what you do because different people have different ideas.
Yeah.
So, stories of Bethlehem. If you've got a picture from the week, something that's being overjoyed for you. For me, last night, the youth. You can go onto the church Facebook page. You can see just a couple of hundred kids just hanging out for the first time, overjoyed. So, send us in your pictures. We also have social media. connection there at Beth Bap Church. Send it to those different places. We've got Instagram, Facebook. We don't have Twitter, so just those two. Grab those.
Those are enough.
Those
honestly.
are enough.
Those
Yeah,
are
yeah.
enough.
And last night, Dan said, I didn't even know how to use Instagram. This is the youth pastor. So he's just like,
How did he get
I'm
hired?
a boomer, right?
Yeah,
I'm
what?
only a boomer who uses
like,
Facebook.
Isn't that part of a
so there
youth
we
group
go.
like thing?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sounds just like Bryce.
We also have care at bethlehem.org.nz. Pastor Eric here at the church would love to be in contact with you if there's anything going on that you need help with. We have an amazing counseling center here, but we also have been gifted 25 grand worth of food for those in
That's
need
amazing.
due to
Yeah.
COVID. So
cool.
if you know anyone or you are yourself struggling in that area, please make contact through that email address or by the number on the screen. They'd love to connect with you. We also have our services coming up this Sunday. We've changed times.
Yeah.
Blow people's mind. We move forward 15 minutes. People start going, wow, you're messing with my life.
That's right.
15 whole minutes. 9 and 11, you can watch us live at 9 a.m. We have hosted online services through our church online platform. So if you want to watch there, please do. There will be someone, Kyle especially, who will be connecting with you online there.
Yeah, hosting.
We also go out on Spotify and our podcast, Apple Podcasts, mornings together. So there's now 50. This is the 50th episode.
50th
Woohoo!
episode.
50th episode. so
Happy
you can
anniversary.
Go
yeah.
back and
Yeah.
50. What's that? It's a diamond or a jubilee.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's very cool.
so do go on. You can listen to all of those going right back to the start of COVID. There's some good banter in there, some
Yeah.
good flavor tips. I'm not making a recipe book, although I've been asked 100 times. Unless someone wants to sponsor that, we can do it.
We
But,
can, that's right.
I tried writing out one of those recipes. It takes too long.
Too
Forgive
long.
me now.
Fair enough.
And yeah, we're on Spotify worship playlists as well. So Darren's been doing that. You can connect there. We haven't had too many people talk about that, but it's a great podcast, and Spotify is a great place to listen to
Yeah.
some great music for free. So
Awesome.
there you go. That's enough notices. It feels like church. We have 10.
10, I
notices.
know.
We're cutting those down.
Well, and look,
Take a
someone's
breath.
helped us. 50
50.
gold.
There we go.
Gold.
Gold
Yeah.
anniversary.
Gold. There we go. Gold
Thank you, Jill.
anniversary.
That is helpful.
We expect to see some gold today.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
Come
right.
on. Yeah,
Anniversary.
there we go.
So one of the greatest parts of Feels Thursdays, we get to just hear from different people in the community, and it's
Yeah.
awesome to have you guys with us, Bryce and Kate.
Woohoo.
Which you guys are missionaries with Steiger
Yep.
International. For those who aren't aware, do you want to just explain what Steiger is?
Right. So we're a missions organization.
Yeah.
So our heart's very evangelistic, and God's called us to the young adults. So the 17 to 35-year-olds around the world. We call it the global youth culture. It's the largest people group in the world.
Yeah.
They wear the same clothes. They listen to the same music, the same tech, and the same worldview.
Right.
So for us, we want to share the gospel in a language that they understand. So we use creativity a lot, music and all sorts of artistic expression to clearly share the message of the cross.
Yeah.
And they're lost. But God's doing amazing things. It's just incredible. It's basically
Yeah, and we're really big on like the discipleship relationships,
Right.
because it's super important that a lot of the people that in this demographic, they're so distant from the church that when even they make decisions or on that they're on their journey to make decisions, they don't even relate to the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we just see ourselves as bridging the gap
Mhm.
between that initial like discipleship till they feel like they can integrate into a productive, good, healthy church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it
And-
can be a big shift into church
Yeah.
culture.
Well,
We
yeah,
got a whole
sure.
Oh, yeah.
language we use
Oh,
on
yeah.
Sundays.
It's the language. We have, we in Tauranga, we do a lot with backpackers, and we bring backpackers to church. And we've been there when they've gone like worship. They get out with their iPhones and stuff, and they're like, we don't even know what's going on, and they don't get it. It's like group karaoke.
yeah.
You're
It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
And that's
Say that
exactly what
phrase.
they say, because they're trying to process
Yeah.
what actually is this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we just try and bridge that gap. And and there's some instances, and also maybe encouraging and supporting the church, and maybe being a little tweaking things a little bit so it is a little bit more relevant for some of that demographic as
Yeah,
they're coming in,
totally.
because they just don't
Absolutely.
they don't understand.
These
the
are,
message.
because it's part of our heart is love the church 100%, but these people will never go to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't even have Christian friends.
Mhm.
So who's going to tell them?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
our hearts, that the lost sheep, that we leave the 99 and want to go where the one is and go to wherever they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
how long have you guys been with Steiger?
Well, we've So officially full-time ministry since 2007. What's that?
13 odd years.
So, but before that, we
Solid.
volunteered for quite a while. Just while
They
we
did.
were working.
About
in-
10.
Yeah. So probably
20
we've been
years.
engaged with.
They were
with-
very
with-
involved in.
Yeah,
with
we've
you, I
been engaged with
remember.
Soga for about 20 years, but full time with him for
Wow,
13.
amazing.
Plus.
Amazing. And so on that journey, what would be fascinating is like what led you, because it's not everybody that goes and joins a missions organization, right? Like what led you kind of down that path that you kind of like, got stuck in with Steiger and got like, I don't know, that
Yeah.
burden for ministry. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For me, I grew up in a Christian home that was really missions focused.
Yeah.
And so I was always like, I'm going to be a missionary.
Yep.
And that was always for me. And then it was just a matter of dragging Bryce along my journey. No, it wasn't like that at all. At all.
Disobedience.
In fact, that was a super interesting conversation when we were engaged, about I really felt called to missions.
We
And
nearly didn't get married.
we nearly didn't get married because Bryce was like, well, I don't. And we had a very wise pastor at the time, eh? And what did he say to you?
Oh, basically, Bryce, you love Jesus. Yeah. You'll do whatever he asks. I said, yeah, of course. He said, well, dude, don't stress about that. Marry Kate and God will sort that out if he wants you to go to missions.
Good man.
It was
Yeah.
really
Good man.
wise, really
I like
wise
it.
advice.
Yeah.
So that was my journey. It was natural.
Yeah.
And for me, like we'd been volunteering with Steiger for 10 years, and it's when I was on staff here actually, and I led a missions trip to Fiji. Never forget it. And we're doing this going hardcore, and I was going, I love this. I could just do this full time, and I just planted that seed, really. And then and from then on, trying to describe it to people was just a journey of surrender. People go, "Oh, you guys are amazing." Oh, no, I think I'm just ordinary people, but we said yes.
Yeah.
It's good.
I love
We
that.
just said yes. Our kids were 5 and 7 when we went to Germany, and had people say to us, "Oh, you guys are crazy. This won't be good for your kids," and it was hard. It wasn't all sweet and easy. Nope.
Yeah.
But if you talk to our girls now, they wouldn't change one thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just said yes.
Yeah. I remember distinctly when the church, the missions group was praying for us before we left to go to Germany.
Remember that?
And I can't remember who it
It
was.
was Debbie.
Oh, it was Debbie Cunningham.
Debbie Cunningham.
Yeah, and so she was praying for us, and she had this word, and it was like, God is not, which is just resonates, is that God has not called you because you're gifted, because we were going to do certain things. God has called you because you're willing and able.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you've said yes.
Yeah.
How many more of our people would go
Yep.
if we could just let go of just some of those things that hold
That's
us back?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just said yes. We knew it was going to be tough, and it has been. It's not always been easy, but you just say yes, and then you just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's, I spent some time with myself and my folks are missionaries, and that's always been my experience. Everyone looks at us like, how are you guys so amazing? You did that. You're like, we're not. It's-
No,
We're not. And trust me, I knew a lot of the other missionaries. They were not that amazing. Like you
Yeah.
meet weird people.
Yeah.
But it's just simply just
not on
trying to
Steiger. There's nobody
Oh,
weird
of
in
course
Steiger.
not. No.
Yeah.
No, never. But it's just that it's mostly that ability to just say yes and
Yeah.
give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be willing and
being
and
willing.
be willing, and then it's that feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And having the call be strong
Yes.
enough, like
It
the
is. Yeah.
reason why
Really
you're going. And so
important.
for
Yeah.
you guys, that burden to reach that group that will never
Yeah.
walk through the doors of church must have just
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
significant.
There's
Yeah.
a huge thing in our culture that says that you have to have it all together
Ah,
or have all your ducks in a row before you can go and do something.
Yeah.
And I think the call to ministry often doesn't work like that.
Not in my
It's not-
experience at
not
all.
how it works.
No,
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah, and I think it's also like, no, you have to know that about yourself, that
Yeah.
you don't have it all together. Otherwise, you're the worst person in ministry that could be. You'll break everything.
Yeah.
It's like you just need to be like, yeah, I haven't got my stuff together, but God's gracious,
Yeah.
and it's a
absolutely.
calling. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a calling.
Yeah.
But I love that about being willing to
Yeah.
say yes. That was my prayer so much as a young Christian is
Yeah.
like, honestly, because I struggled with it a lot. I'd be like in YWAM, young Christian, Lord, help me to be willing to be made willing
Yeah.
because I'm not willing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of pray, God all the time, like, have your way, because I'm battling that
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. Just my way.
Good,
And
dangerous
yeah.
We
it
often
is.
use the phrase in style, in Isaiah, here I am, Lord, send someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a very clear conversation I had with God, my Moses conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
God, I hear you calling, but what about this, and this about me?
Yep.
I love what Steiger's doing, but I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
And it was just that clear, basically, shut up. I'm
with
saying
you.
go, and I'll choose whoever I want to choose, and I'm
Yeah.
choosing you, so go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I mess it up, I told you.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it's all you.
No, I'm fascinated to hear because I mean, Steiger is very much like missions, outreach, evangelism. It's this people interaction. You're going out there. I know you guys have a backpackers ministry where you're constantly interacting with people who are traveling. Now, a lot of that will have changed during this last season, these last few months. COVID-19 makes a lot of those things really difficult. What's that experience been like for you guys in Steiger?
Yeah.
Well, we have, as well as locally, we have quite an international role.
Yeah.
Both of us. So it didn't slow down. There's all this big, oh, it's been great to stop. We're going like, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Kate led the Steiger's COVID response internationally. So it was pretty insane.
Wow.
Yeah. A super interesting thing about this year for Steiger is that we started the year in January and we really felt a call to like extraordinary prayer. So in January, we said it was a 24/7 prayer thing. Because we're international, we have every time slot covered and every, like whatever, which is great. So much easier than somebody in New Zealand having to get up at 2 a.m.
Totally. Yeah.
Because, the Europeans can do that.
Yeah.
So,
God bless the Europeans.
God bless them, right? Yeah. And so we had a 24/7 prayer thing going on and we were seeking God for an extraordinary year.
Oh, yeah.
Super interesting, right? So and a real call to seeking it because that's our number one value in Steiger is to seek God. Yeah. And then we look back and we go, I mean, we've kept that prayer chain going, but we look back and we go, wow, God was like, see?
Yeah.
You need to invest in this.
Yeah, that's right. Which
Yeah.
is really interesting. So what it's done for us globally is, we had to make the call very early on to just stop all of our events globally. So, we were running schools, we do a lot of street work in many parts of the world we do. And of course, most countries shut, and so we had to shut everything. And so as a internationally, we were like, so God, what does this mean for us? And there's two parts of that. And Bryce can talk about the online stuff. But for me, in terms of organizationally, we were like, God has gifted us this time. So as a mission, we went through going from a movement to a mission, which we've done loads of work on that. And now we're in a period of exponential growth. But in order to be able to grow, we have to have that stuff sorted down here. So we're like, God's gifted us with a season where we can pause some of those other things and we can build in the mission. So there's been so many things that we've been doing internally in-house about training and development, about just resourcing and things like that, which means that when we hit 2021, instead of being exponential like this, we're going to be exponential like this. Because we have invested more.
Totally.
And of course, the online stuff. Again, I think 2020 was the most training we had planned around the world, and we had to cancel it all.
Yeah.
But talk about these compact schools, which is basically we have a mission school in Germany, have two of them normally, and but around the world, like a precursor to that, it's like a teaser, is this compact school, and so that's gone online, which has been huge. The first one that they did a few weeks back, they had 850 sign up, so they quickly had to close the registrations.
It's a lot of people.
Because there's breakout groups and small groups. So just think of the logistics of running that.
Languages.
Yeah, there's a lot of translation, but it went amazing.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that first one worked out to like 2 a.m. You had to start in the morning. But we're doing it in New Zealand, end of July.
Wow, cool.
Shameless plug. It's steiger.org/compact.
Yeah.
And you can sign up. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings for 4 hours, 5 to 9 each evening. And it teaches about our values of seeking God and courage and relevance and all the values. And practically, we're going to go and do some evangelism online and on the streets. So that's been huge. And now that's probably going to be a annual thing. Rhythm, because it's just been so successful. Yeah, because obviously the Steiger Mission School, it's in Germany, and that is a challenge.
Yeah, it's hard to get everybody. Well, and flights now, who knows how flights are going to go.
So international borders closing has been really big for us personally, because we do a lot of work internationally. So whilst we've saved money on one hand, it just makes working a lot harder. I'm really tired. I wish the earth was flat. Because I'm really tired of early morning Zoom calls.
Wow. So there's been a season of then investing in the structures that will support you for growth next year. And then also just changing the forms of your ministry and getting a lot more stuff online. Because that's where people are.
And we started this hashtag Hope Beyond Fear movement on social media. And so that's just been, if you search up hashtags Hope Beyond Fear on Instagram or Facebook, it'll pull up a whole bunch of people thousands of people around the world holding signs with message of hope and Jesus. And so one of the very first things when lockdown happened is we started this movement, and it's just gone global, which is really super interesting to see that people taking images on themselves holding cardboard pieces with a message of hope and just posting it on their social media.
Yeah.
So we're trying to create
Yeah.
other ways of spreading the word, creating connections. So,
Yeah.
we all know that meeting people online is not the same as in person.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so as the world opens up slowly, then we can use those connections that we've made online and start the in-person stuff.
I think we had a picture of Nora and Wendy.
Yeah,
doing
I was
that
thinking,
very
yeah,
thing
now
right
that
back
we're holding
earlier
up
on.
signs.
Yeah.
But it
It's very
piques
cool.
interest as well.
Absolutely.
People thinking, oh, I could use some of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is
Well, that's
so
part
cool.
of it, because there's a lot of afraid people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with a
Who
secular
feel
world.
hopeless.
Yeah, you've got a secular worldview where, you
Yeah.
know, health and wealth are your sort of two main gods, and they're totally messed up, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People losing their jobs and
Mhm.
obviously COVID, and people are just afraid. How do I live in this context?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to go, actually, there's hope.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, God's not surprised. Oh, look, COVID. You
Yeah.
know, He
Yeah.
really is sovereign, and
Absolutely.
this is for us an opportunity. If there ever was a time to share a message of hope, it's now.
Amen.
You know, just
Amen.
Wow. And I'm curious with the online work and talking with people, because I mean, you guys probably have more interaction with non-Christians than a lot of us in church staff. I mean, we dangerously spend most of our week taking care and looking after Christians,
Yeah.
which is great.
Which is important.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
we could
It's
like
not
to
just
do that
important.
differently. Have you noticed a change? I'd be really interesting from your perspective, because I know, at least in church context, a lot of us have been talking about trying to reevaluate what's important. Has that spread to people who aren't part of faith? These young people, like, are they at a stage where they're kind of reevaluating and asking some of those bigger questions?
100% yes.
Yeah.
One of our regular ministries we do is street interviews. So we go out on Fridays or the weekends and have a video camera. And in the past, you know, we often get in there. So, what's the purpose of life? And you end up this awesome discussion. But yeah, we've tweaked our questions and it's to say, hey, so what would you change after being a lockdown? And people are so open to talk about that, because it forced us
Yeah.
into a smaller world. Actually,
Yeah.
people started talking to their neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, it's been awesome. And families have been at home because they're talking about New Zealand culture. We've got this whole crazy workaholic thing. Like, I think the worst thing you could say to a Kiwi is you're lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the classic, oh, how you doing? You stand and answer,
Busy.
really busy.
Yeah.
Really busy.
Kind of feel
Good,
proud
good,
of
but
it.
Yeah, and
busy.
you're kind of
You're
proud of
proud.
It is. It's a
Oh,
status thing.
It is. You're, I'm busy. Like,
I
you're
have
always
stuff
busy.
to do. Yeah.
It is, and it's not a good part of our culture where it's just like go, gotta be
Yeah.
busy. But then people were forced into this, like, oh, I could spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
It was funny. We got a nature reserve just in front of our house. Go down there. It was just like a state highway. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow.
During lockdown, just so many people walking as a family. It was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about young adults, because that's the people we work with, is that, I mean, they're online anyway, but we also know that they're lonely online. So they might have, 1,000 friends on social media, but they're actually lonely. So it's just highlighted that even more. And, we even, some of our guys are predicting that there's going to be a resurgence of the in-person stuff, and once everybody in the world comes off lockdown, and that online presences are going to reduce because people are done with it.
Yeah.
Because
fair enough.
so which is going to be super interesting to see if that actually plays out. So it just means that we might make connections online, which we do a lot of work online, but there's nothing that has to translate into an in-person moment.
Yeah.
Which actually hits our sweet spot, because one of our key strategies here is creating community.
Yeah.
We've got 3 community houses, and we think up any reason just to get Christians and non-Christians together. And so, we're really playing into that. We have community meals every week, and obviously our community houses and backpackers come and stay. And because people are like, oh, here's people I can actually talk to in person and talk about real things in life. It's really good.
Yeah.
So cool.
I'd be interested. You kind of mentioning a few of those things, like maybe the online world might be shifting or changing, but from your perspective, what else is going to be happening in this new normal? Like, how do you see? Because so much has changed. Everything's changed and nothing has changed after COVID. And
I think people have had this realization about the busyness. I talk to so many people who had that quiet space and have had that realization, I'm actually not going to do that again.
Yeah. Come on.
So whether or not that
preach.
actually happens, we're
Yeah.
hoping and praying that that does, that there's a bit more balance. Sorry, David Pierce.
Yeah.
He talks
Yeah.
about no balance all the time, but it's a balance. And but yeah, so I think that's going to be a really big thing for us as a mission. We're going to go back to obviously the big full in-person thing, which is super important. But I think the voice that we've had over this time has grown online, and so therefore we have a wider reach, which means that once we hit these in-person moments, then they're going to be more fruitful as well. But yeah, that's why I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, it's the community thing.
Mhm.
We're really working
Absolutely.
hard on that around the world.
Yep.
Literally creating more community houses.
Yeah.
We've learnt that over the years. Authentic community is so attractive.
Mm.
When
Absolutely.
non-Christians come in and that, like it says, by your love for one another, I'll know you're my disciples. It's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they come in and they see, man, these guys actually care for one another. This is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, what? It's so attractive.
Yeah.
And kind of simple, but really profound at the same time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really hope locally, like I know even as soon as we were about to hit lockdown, we got out to our neighbours and trying to build a little bit of like, if you're going to be in quarantine, put up a red, I don't know, whatever. There's all these things, but we built a little bit of a community up our driveway.
That's
plus we
so
did a deck
cool.
party.
Oh, plus we did it. And
I
awesome.
saw videos of the deck party. That looked incredible. It was like you and a dinosaur dancing together.
That's right.
Oh, okay, was it awesome?
I own one of those, so
Yeah.
that's been used multiple times.
You're talking about normal? We're totally normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
We're the benchmark.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm hoping that that's going to continue, right? You've got to know at your neighbours. Let's keep it going. Have them over for morning tea. Go for a walk in the park with the kids, whatever. So to me, that'll be a fantastic part of new normal, is because I think a lot of people don't actually know their neighbours.
Yeah.
But with this COVID, I would bet that most people got to know their neighbours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At least one new relationship.
Yeah,
bang.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
That's all it needs, is one new relationship.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's huge.
That's so good.
This isn't one of the questions, but I'd actually like to finish with this one, which I think would be really fascinating. You guys bridge the world between this youth movement, like all these young adults who don't understand church culture, that think we're doing karaoke on Sundays, but yet you also understand our Sunday people. And, as pastors, we've spent a lot of time these last few weeks trying to get Sundays going again.
Yeah.
That's our focus. How do we get these running? How do we get our systems and our structures back together? And that's
Yeah.
valid. That's important. We have to do that. But I would love to hear from your perspective. If you're talking to the church and you know the other world, how would you challenge us to move forward or to do things differently,
Yeah.
knowing where this other world exists? And
Yeah.
our focus is so much on getting
Yeah.
Sundays and our community back together. How would you challenge us to behave differently? And go ahead, tear us apart. Say what you need to
No,
say. Like,
You alluded
know,
to
say
stuff,
that.
and I'm like, oh man, let's talk about.
because
that.
like honestly,
let's
like
talk
this
about
is a resource that we
Yeah.
can look back and go
Yeah.
back, and I'm trying to draw out voices that can
Yeah.
help us
Yeah.
It's good.
not get like our blinders on and just
Yeah.
get focused on getting
And
life
just do
back to
same
normal.
old, same old. I
Yeah.
mean, even though it wasn't, like it's awesome.
It's
Like
great.
it's Sunday,
Sundays was
but how
electric.
can we do something different?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to definitely say at the start, passionate about the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
you
love
know,
the
I was
church,
on
yeah.
staff
We do.
here for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And BBC's just been so wonderful
Yeah.
Yeah.
to us, really have. So yeah, the church, long-term discipleship, that is the church. You know,
Mhm.
that's gifted, designed for that. Yeah. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, do you remember when the whole church went through the seeker friendly movement?
Yeah.
Right. And they're struggling with that. How do we meet the needs of the people who are already believers,
Mhm.
and how do we grow them? And yet, how do we maintain an environment where people who are not believers can feel like they can come into the church and feel okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know that a seeker-friendly church service is the way to go. Personally, I don't know. I mean, there's probably options for that. But, people make relationships in small groups.
Mhm.
And so how can we encourage and build our small groups to have space for unbelievers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we get our,
Yeah.
I mean, we have an amazing church in terms of teaching and,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
And, which is great. But so if a non-believer who's quite distant from the church walked in on a Sunday, they'd be like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't understand the terminology. I
Yeah.
don't. And that kind of thing, I don't know if you can achieve that on a Sunday
Mm.
unless your church is really small. So how can we build our small groups so that they are seeker friendly? If I want to use that old school phrase
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
Or how can we encourage our people that it becomes, and sometimes our small groups become a club. A little bit,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're building really strong friendships and relationships,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Mm.
But we need a broken circle.
Yeah.
You know, the circle's got to have a gap in it
Yeah.
for other people to come in.
Yeah.
And so how do do that? That to me is a really important part.
That's
of being,
huge. That's
of-
huge.
Totally
of-
agree.
Yeah.
Because your average person, your average young adult who, you know, is tattooed and pierced and listens to death metal, something quite good about death metal, but
Yeah.
or, you know, or
Yeah.
maybe has weird color hair or something
Yeah.
like that, is, you know, like they feel really uncomfortable walking into a church.
Yeah.
You know, one of her friends is Sikh, and you know he came to church a few times,
He's
but
been here.
his questions were about, well, are people going to stare at me if I come in the back if I'm wearing a turban? Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's going to, you know, and he was really freaking out about
Yeah.
that.
Totally.
And so all this kind of stuff, we're coming into a big environment, but inviting him into our home is a different story.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm.
So
That's
how do
good.
we equip our people
It's good.
to do that? Because once that relationship has happened, the natural next step is much easier about connecting with a local church.
Yeah.
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 Sundays aren't
Yeah.
terrifying if you're walking in with your mates.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
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 And if you've had if you've been involved in, well, what is the Bible and well, how does that work? And
Yeah.
you know, who is
Yeah.
Jesus?
It's good.
You know, I mean, communion is just a whole new kettle of fish for people who,
Yeah.
who are not believers. They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It
I
sounds
don't
like
What's
a cult.
happening?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
all this blood? There's all this blood everywhere, and
does,
you're
yeah.
killing
about blood.
and you're killing sheep, and like what?
and
Well,
even the lyrics of our worship songs. I mean, we love worship.
Mm.
I mean, sometimes I look at them and go, okay, yeah, all right. Theologically, I think I understand that, but I have to process it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can you imagine if you had no background
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're like,
So
I
good.
don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
So yeah, and why am I singing with like 300 other people?
Yeah.
It feels really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
So if we can make that small,
Mm.
then we're more
Totally
likely
agree.
to get that happening,
can
which
bridge that
happens at Alpha, right?
Absolutely.
I was
Yep.
going to say,
Yeah,
how
alphas.
important is alpha?
Yeah, really.
Totally
To
agree.
really, where
Yep.
no question is off the table, but
Yep.
to have
Yep.
that something that you can
Yep.
just easily plug
Yeah.
into.
Because
Yeah.
even in our
Right.
community houses, one of the, you know, we have intentional community,
Mhm.
but then we've seen it over the years. You get this awesome community. They're really loving each other, and they want to kind of protect it.
Yeah.
But one of our rules is like, yeah, you have an authentic community, but you have to have an outward focus. That
Yeah.
broken circle thing.
Yep.
That we want to think about what people could you bring in that would join
Yeah.
this community that no one else would.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the Paul Hebert kind of anthropological thing of wells, not fences.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is the well that you're drawing people to
Yeah.
rather than trying
Totally.
to keep them in the pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes if we've been Christians a really, really long time, if we don't have that interaction with people who are not believers, we actually don't know how to have conversations about
Yeah.
spiritual things in a way that isn't weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a little bit of training and development maybe that we could do,
Yeah.
which would be like,
Yeah.
how to have a really full on spiritual conversation with someone with a secular worldview.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we do a lot of that training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, key thing, just
Yeah.
filtering out all the Christianese.
Yeah.
Mm.
We've got our own little language,
Mhm.
and you know, even, when you even say prayer,
Mm.
hey, I'm talking with God,
Talking with God.
and
yeah.
you can't say, well, the Bible says. They don't care what the Bible says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no authority in their life, so
Yeah.
you've got to just think through that. But in terms of Kiwis,
Mm.
if there ever was a strength, it's our hospitality.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we do that really well.
Mm.
We've lived in Germany. Sorry, Germans, but
They don't do that well.
Yeah.
Kiwis to have someone around for dinner is just totally normal.
Yeah.
It's man, you can do that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, because
Yeah.
often in church you say, okay, church, we're gonna really work on evangelism, and everyone just like
Yeah.
freaks out and go, hey, we're really gonna work on you inviting people around for dinner. Oh, I can do that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
do that
That's
and
good.
just have them around my table.
Yeah.
And
Come on.
Yeah.
that's simple, but
That's
it's actually
It's a
powerful.
solid but simple takeaway.
Yeah.
You know, like
Exactly.
that one relationship you've
Yeah.
built up during lockdown.
Yeah.
How do we create spaces where we can introduce them into a small group setting,
Yeah.
where they can have
exactly.
a wider community that knows them and loves them?
Yep.
And that look, you've got a heading for your next email to your small groups there, Monica.
I know.
Yeah.
Having an empty chair. I did send that out. Like, if you've got any extra space, people are inquiring. They
Yeah.
want to know. And it's great to hear that people are like
Yeah.
open to open up their groups to someone new. But you said it is intimidating. I remember one like new to the Lord Christian became part of a life group that had been together for a long time. She goes, it was really challenging because she was asking us what we believe. And we're like, what do we believe?
Yeah, that's right.
Do we even know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she goes, it was just like a breath of fresh air because we had to actually think, oh yeah, what do I think about that?
Yeah.
What do I believe about baptism and all that kind of thing, you know?
Totally.
So yeah, it was just really, really good. And it does spark those questions.
It does.
But I think there needs to be training
Yeah.
on for believers because we get into bubbles.
Yeah.
Like I think probably every Christian needs to do alpha again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just to see, okay, this is what the questions people are asking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
good.
This is what they're talking about.
Good.
This is what's on the agenda. It's transgender and it's all this
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Sure.
It's like, okay, what do I think about that?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what
Yeah.
is what does the Bible say about that? Yeah. So it's like all of that. I think we all need to be reminded.
There's one of our missionaries in Beirut, Lebanon. She started this really awesome podcast called The Conversation Starters.
Yeah.
And it's not designed to, it's not targeting Christians, and it's like just trying to build people's I guess intelligence and competence, and how do I start a conversation?
Yeah.
And what are some things, how can I go deep really quickly, and how, just being natural about it and not weird.
Yeah.
Like, do you know Jesus?
Yeah.
Let's not start with that.
That's right.
But talking about relationships, or and it's a podcast, and she's got an Instagram page. It's called The Conversation Starters.
Love
and It's
it.
really awesome.
Yeah.
So I think some of that,
Some
we're
good
really
news.
good at small talk as
Yeah.
Kiwis,
Mhm.
but we're not very good at the transition into something a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We could talk about nothing for ages.
Yeah.
Especially
like,
Bryce.
like this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
50 episodes.
50 episodes of nothing.
The first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. The
But-
Bruce line. Yeah.
There's some solid resources there. So, I mean, check
Yeah.
out Conversation Starters podcast.
I
And
love
if you're
that.
wanting some more training, there's the Compact School coming up in July.
Yeah.
I got
Um,
compact. Shameless
Exactly.
plug.
Yeah.
So please do reach out to those. And that's such a simple bit of advice that
I
any
love
one
it.
of us could pick up and take away. That
Mm.
one relationship, how do we bring them into a small group context? We're going to draw it to a close. I wonder, would one of you be able to pray for us and pray for our churches?
Yeah, sure.
Because we all need that encouragement to keep that going.
Amen.
And we can get so insular. And you guys are a wonderful voice that can keep
Absolutely.
reminding us of what's on God's heart, which
Yeah.
is there's so many people that are going through a lot and we want to
Yeah.
be there for them. Yeah, would you pray for us?
Yeah, thanks.
God, we're so just grateful. Thank you for that you're not indifferent, that your heart breaks, you care, God, and you understand what's all going on in the world at the moment. You care about its brokenness and injustice. So God, I pray for your church. I thank you for your bride. It's just awesome. I feel so privileged to be part of it. God, I pray you would, within your church, break people's heart for what breaks
Yeah.
yours. Jesus, that there's a broken world which needs to hear this truth. And if we don't tell them, who will? And so, God, I
Yeah.
pray for a fresh, broken heart for the lost. I pray for, just cool strategies, God, for, like we've just started the conversation this morning. Just, simple, profound. Oh, man, we could do that. I pray you would give courage to people to go and knock on their neighbor's door and just talk to them about fishing or whatever, but then get into real issues of life. So
Thank you, Lord.
God, help us, we pray. Help us to just follow you and keep saying yes, I pray. In your wonderful name. Amen.
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 Amen. Hey, thank
Thank
you guys
you.
so much for coming and being
I
with
know.
us.
Privilege.
Such a
So
wonderful
awesome.
perspective to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for
And
having us.
yeah, no worries. And so that will bring us to a close. So please stick around on Tuesday, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
back
Tuesday, 9
again
a.m.
to talk it out Tuesday to
Yeah.
pull apart whatever Craig's going to say on
I
Sunday.
know,
Heading
exactly.
to 1 Corinthians this week.
Is that what
Yeah,
it
we
is?
got a
Yeah.
new series.
Ooh, that's a
Oh,
good book.
new
Yeah,
series.
which
So
will
don't miss.
take us right to the end of the year.
There you go. So don't miss this Tuesday as
Yeah.
we start to pull that apart. Bernie will be back and I will be on holiday. So
Yeah.
it'll be lovely. So thank you guys so much for sticking with us and we will see you next time.
See you later.
See you later.
Take care.
Yeah.